G'day folks. Well, this is an update for the Hilux 253 rear mount turbo that we're going to do to it. We've got an engine in the HX. This is my HX utility. I was actually going to rear mount turbo this, but look, a father and son have come up with another plan. I really want to encourage my son to take on these sort of projects, you know, and further his knowledge. He's only 19, and I really want him to excel, and well, he's really passionate too, guys. Look, it's surprising. He does a lot of stuff very similar to what I do, and I don't even realise it, you know, like little mods that he does to his car, and yeah, he just loves it, and I really want to be a part of it and share my knowledge and teach him. There's nothing better than a father and son with a project. It's fantastic. Well, we've got a 253 out of my HX ute. I've had this car, guys. I've had it probably 25 years. It's hardly got any rust in it, if anything. It's unbelievable. You know, I tried to sell it about 4 or 5 years ago. No one wanted it. I couldn't give it away for some reason. Maybe the colour turned them off. But since I've had it sort of sitting idle doing nothing, I've had multiple offers. Sitting there now, I'd probably get more for it, even with the engine out of it, than I would have when it was complete before and registered. So, yeah, I'm going to keep this one. It means too much to me now. I've had it for too long. I've got some plans for it one day. But for now, we're going to whip the motor out of this. This needs a bore out, guys. It's got a... Well, it had a broken ring in it, and I sort of just honed it out, but it had this faint score in the bore. Put a fresh set of rings in it, bearings. I had the heads redone on the intake, or on the exhaust side. It had a hardened valve seats put in it, and it's done about 70,000 K. Well, it's lost compression in the problem bore that had the broken ring in it. So we're going to bore it out, check over the rings, check over the bearings on the crank. It's got a brand new camshaft in it I want to keep. Just check it over, and it's sort of a budget rebuild. We're not going to go crazy with it. We're just going to freshen it up, and I'm going to mod the oil pump, the existing one, on it, and I'm going to fabricate up a custom sump to get a lot more volume. Very similar to my Monaro. So I think that'll be plenty. We're only really going to run around 12 pounds of boost. Nothing too crazy. We'll get a single plane manifold, and we'll start on adapting it up to the Hilux once it's all sort of built. And we're actually going to do a mock-up first. We're going to put it into the Hilux. We've got the gearbox ready with the adapter plate, clutch. So we're going to fiddle around with that in the next few weeks and mock it up, just sitting in the Hilux, and just see how it all sort of sits in there, and we'll go from there. The son went and bought some 35-inch massive tyres. He's realised that they're just too big. They're just crazy. It looks tough, but he's actually going to put some other tyres and rims on it, and I'll show you in a second. He's actually went and bought another Hilux just to satisfy his urge, because he loves Hiluxes, guys. He loves the early ones. Now, this is an 84 LN65 with a 2.4 diesel, and he's gone and bought a, well, I'll show you now actually, a 1988, so it's still a LN65, but this one's 2.4 diesel, but it's got a little turbo on it. So We picked him up a couple of weeks ago. It's a little ripper. I drove it back from where we bought it off, and the guys put a lot of work into this little bus. It's a little flat tray, and they're the tyres that we're going to put onto the red Hilux, and we're actually going to put just some slightly narrower tyres on this with some nice rims. These are 33s, and this is actually being geared to suit these tyres. So we'll keep the same diameter but go slightly narrower in the width. Oh, she's a little beauty, this thing. It goes really well. It runs 10 pounds of boost. And it cruises. The motor's only done 170,000 kilometres since a rebuild. It's in really good condition, this little bus. Check out the headlights. LEDs. It's unbelievable. So this little rig here will satisfy his need. So he's not in so much of a hurry, guys, to get the big, well, what do we call it, big red going. So we want to take our time on this, guys. We don't want to rush it. It's going to take a year. Well, I can see it's going to take a couple of years, you know, to do a nice job on it. And that's what it's going to take, guys. And like I said when I first started talking about it, I did say it was going to take time. But any sort of improvements or any advancement on it, I'll do videos on it, guys. You know, it's not all about the turbo. It's about the actual the journey and the effort that's going to go into getting this all sorted. We're going to use the alloy rad that's out of my ute. This design here, guys, I'll show you now, it's only got a really small, well, it actually looks big in the screen, but it's not. It's a small hole for the airflow. Now, with the Holden radiator, we can take a little bit out of this side here to create a little bit more surface area. So it'll be an ideal setup. For some reason, the stock rads in them aren't that really of that good a design. They come down past here, and you really don't have a lot of airflow down through this part here. So the Holden one is not quite as tall as the original, but it's a little bit wider. So we'll be able to get into a little bit of meat there and create a little bit more surface area and flow. We can see the Holden one there. Look at the size of that compared to the Hilux. Yeah, so good planning, good airflow ensures that the little 253 will stay cool under severe conditions. So we're taking our time. Like I said, we're not going to rush it. We want to do this right, so it's going to be fantastic. This one's got, well, doesn't have power steering, yet the little yellow, that's what we call it, that's got power steering in it, 5-speed, goes really well. It's a really lovely little bus, so that'll sort of take the edge off and not make him get impatient when he goes to, or when we're working on this thing, because he was getting so keen and he was rushing it a little bit. And now he's got his little yellow one there, and that'll just settle him down, and then we can go at a nice steady pace and not be rushed and do a good job with this one. All right, folks, it was just a little update. Hope you enjoy it. Catch you later.